Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here. I'm calling from the big island of Hawaii. All right. We're going to get into a bunch of things today. Let me just put something in the chat. Make sure it's working. Okay. You can text me if you can get in. All right. I sent the link out. Send it to anybody you can. But this will be on YouTube. You could always go into it later. So with that, I'm going to start. The question I'm going to ask you, do you watch Ancient Aliens on TV? Why? All right, is it for excitement, for entertainment, for truth, for wisdom, knowledge? What do you listen to it? What do you watch it for? Well, I'm going to get into that before I get into anything else. Now, there's multiple conferences happening worldwide, and it's growing. Yes, more people are interested in UFOs and aliens and everything else. The sad part, it's programmed information they're giving you. Oh, it's free this, free that, say what you want. But it's programmed information coming from programmed people. Now, Ancient Aliens goes into a lot of history, a lot of the artifacts and things that are here. Yes, there were aliens here, always. But the concept they try to feed you, and it's not just them. I'll give you another name to start off with, Zecharia Sitchin, who is responsible for programming people to believe the whole Anunnaki story. I want to deal with that greatly because most people listen to Ancient Aliens and believe half of the stuff they hear. Maybe they believe all of it. Well, it couldn't have been me. People couldn't have done that. Well, people have been doing incredible things since the beginning of time. But it depends what you call incredible and good. Were we good people? Never. Never since Atlantis went down were we good people. We're mass killers, murderers, rapists, abusers. Love didn't exist. So what were we? Created people by the Anunnaki? Do you believe that? Do you want to believe that? That's your choice. You can say, oh, I'm going to go back to see my alien friends and they're going to help me become what? Better? Did they ever help us become any better than what we were? Well, we were the best we ever were in Atlantis. And when that went down, we lost a lot of things. And that's what people should really think about. All right, I'm going to mention a good friend of mine, Sargel18. Go on his site. He puts a lot of pictures up that we shot. And he shot and copyrighted thousands of pictures. More than anybody else in the United States. I mean, now there's a lot more pictures coming out daily, videos and stuff, because everybody has a camera now. So yes, we're going to see a lot more things, hear a lot more things. And what it is or not, how good or important it is, oh, you can believe whatever you want on that. It's all lies. All right, I agree. Ancient Aliens has been on for a couple of years already. And they have different parts, different titles for it now. There's 2 parts, 2 different kinds of shows, but it's still the same thing. Same people, same stories, just different ways to bring it out and push it on people's thinking. All right. If you want to believe aliens are here, okay, what are they here for? What do they want and what are they doing? And what's going to happen? Well, Ancient Aliens doesn't get into any of that. They tell you they were helping us. It's always helping us. Helping us what? Mankind only moves closer and closer to destruction. They're not moving further and further away from it. They're moving closer and closer to it, occluding the weather they're creating, occluding the planet's condition they're creating, occluding the healthiness of our water and our air and everything else, our food supply. So getting back to Sargel and I, we went up to Wanaka, New Jersey, and we filmed there 5 days a week average. We stayed out for about 4 hours every night filming. When we had a camera, we were shooting like 400 pictures a night, and I had to develop them. Then we finally went digital, and we were shooting at least 1,000, 1,500 pictures every night. And he would stay up downloading them, and I would go to sleep. But he ended up copyrighting everything that we shot, which is good in one way, because people tried stealing it. People like Whitney Schreiber, Jose Escamillo. I mean, people tried using our pictures and tried taking the title for it and everything else. But the problem is we were lecturing around the United States for global sciences. And at that time, it was probably the most important thing in the United States because there was no conferences going on like there are today. And that was the biggest one in the United States because we had people from all over the world, every aspect of spiritualism and things as well. But Sajal and I were always the big ticket on every show that we actually got together when Sajal asked me to go with him on a tours with him with that. And we impressed everybody wherever we went. So I'm not trying to make this into an ego thing, but I'm just trying to say people that have truth and things are not accepted. People with stories go out and everybody wants to hear it and believe in it. Well, if I told you great stories, you'd probably believe everything I say. But since I'm going to tell you the truth, you probably believe very little bit of any of it. Well, these people that go out and tell stories at these conferences that are worldwide have a few main speakers. And they're usually the most important ones that get paid the most of people from Ancient Aliens. Just so you know where your money goes when you go to these conferences, it's usually about $250, $450 to get in. And then sometimes they make you pay for each workshop you go to, $25 to $45. And then you got to pay for the hotel and everything else, food while you're there, traveling there. It costs a couple $1,000s. If you want to waste that kind of money to hear stories, I mean, give me $10. I'll tell you millions of stories if that's all you want to hear. How about the truth? How much would you give me if I tell you the truth? Nothing. Because that's what people send me. Nothing. Because they don't want to pay for the truth. They'd rather pay for a bunch of lies. The lies are exciting, fun. Usually it entertains people, and usually you don't get into the really negative stuff. Everything has to be positive in some form or some way. Aliens are out there. They're going to come help us. Sure, they say, well, they could attack us, but they're, and all the excuses why they will not. So here's the thing. I'm going to try to get to as much as I can today, which I usually don't get too far into what I want to talk about. But here's the thing. Putin himself came out on public TV in Russia months before Trump was elected. And he told the people that he wants Trump, he said, I want Trump to come out and tell the truth about 9/11. Does anybody care about 9/11? Oh, the people that got hurt? But why and how and what it was about? No. He also said, I want Trump to come out and talk about what they're doing with aliens. I'm not lying. This was on. I had to translate it because it was in Russian. And he said, I want Trump to explain what the United States is doing with aliens. He said, we are, meaning Russia, are working with 37 alien races. 2 of them are trying to destroy the planet. What's that mean? Do you understand that? And why would he say that publicly? Because he doesn't hide information. They're one of the only countries in the world that do not allow anybody to spray chemtrails over their country. Putin's one of the richest people on the planet. He loves life, he loves where he lives, and he wants to protect it. In his own way, however you want to look at that. But he keeps his country the way he wants it to be. But he tells the truth in a lot of ways. I mean, sure, he wants to take over the world. So does China. So does every major country. The United States think they're in control of it. But nobody is. All right. So I ask you to think about that. As I keep moving on, I want you to think where we're going in our reality, how we're going to get there, and what do we expect to get when we get wherever we think we're going to go. All right. The biggest word out there is disclosure. These people in these UFO conferences from Ancient Aliens get paid to go, right? You think you have an idea of how much they get paid? Up to $20,000. They really think their information is that important, or their face is that important to look at. No matter how you look at it, that's what they think they're worth. Or they wouldn't be charging it. I don't do anything for money. Right now, I'm retired. I'm writing and speaking as much as I can. But, you know, when you go out into the real world, people want to hear these people telling you these most ridiculous stories. Now, take all the stories they put out there, put them together. Do any of them fit together? If they don't, why not? If we're both talking about moon, we should be talking about the moon, not some other worldly dimensional being, creature, entity, or whatever that it's supposed to be or what they think it is. It's the moon. All right. And everybody can see it. Everybody can touch it. So it's basically that we should all agree on. But here, when you listen to these speakers, we're so far spread apart. None of them fit together. They're like way far apart. If they have truth, everything has some form of truth. But what is that truth? Is it beneficial? Is it useful? Is it helpful? I mean, look at it that way. If I tell you aliens are going to come here and help us, is that good? Oh, yeah, it's good. They're going to come and help us. And if you believe it, is that good? For your ego, for your belief system, maybe. But is it good for the world? All right. We want people to believe in aliens. Yes, we do. Do we want people to understand what they are here for and what they're really doing? Of course we do. But here's something else, and I'm saying this to a lot of people. I don't agree with many people on this planet for major reasons, because I have experience with everything I talk about. Aliens, Bigfoot, death, out-of-body experiences, all those kind of things. I experienced it, went through it. Deities, you name it. And I'll debate any person on this planet about those subjects because it's my life, and I proved it to myself. Many of the things I had witnesses. Sigel and I were usually together out in the Wanacue Vortex. And when I was young, I had people around me when things happened and stuff. So it wasn't like I was daydreaming, taking drugs, hallucinating, coming out of a dream, any of those things. Sure, those things are real and they do affect us, but it's not where my creating my reality came from. So mixing this all together, why? Okay, I want to throw something into the picture that people pull out of the picture. All right, so Joe has been going, we've been doing it for a long time, 96 starting, about entities and orbs and all those kind of things. Well, people put a little more emphasis on that. But we had multiple entities here. There was like 100 different kind of fairies and elementals and air, fire, and water spirits and all those kind of things were here. Never mind Pegasus and unicorns and all that. They all existed in some point in history. Well, the giants were here. Bigfoot was here. Everything else was here. But you want to pick and choose what you want to believe. It's like saying, well, I want to believe this because I want to believe this, but I don't want to believe that because I don't want to believe that. How about believe and find the truth? Because all that other stuff is not going to help you in your life, and it's not going to help you in your death. When you die, believing aliens are going to help you. Are you going to wait for them to come and take you to another planet? What do you believe in? Barbara Marciniak wrote a book on that, what aliens can do to soul when they leave the body. Read it. Really important book. She wrote it a long time ago. She was right on when she wrote that. She changed a lot after that book, but it's a really important book to understand basically what could happen and what does happen. So let's forget about everything. Where do we put our belief in? What you're programmed to believe in by what your mother and father told you, by what your friends tell you, and by what you read. Now, I'm going to go into writing and reading and all that in a little bit, but I want to stick with this. All right. People are programmed by their parents usually, or their dictator, their ruler, their king, whatever was controlling the race. Your president control programs that feed into your mind, and you start accepting them. Not everybody. You'll be fighting it, but certain things will be squished into that little brain of yours with all the little wrinkles in there, and another wrinkle will be in your brain that it's in your consciousness. So if somebody could touch your consciousness and rearrange the way you think, they could put your programs together and make it a different program, which they did with the Ashtar command. So we're going to talk about everything today, as much as I can and as much as I can get into here. I'm going to keep moving along. I don't want to stick with anything too long. If you have questions, which I'll check out, which I didn't check yet. If there's any questions, please put them in the questions and I'll get to them. All right. So, all right. People want to believe in aliens now. Okay. They want to exclude demons, entities, ghosts, spirits. Why is that? They have been playing havoc on the planet since the beginning. I mean, from even Jesus's time to now. That's 2,000 years ago. Spirits were in here haunting and playing games on people. I'm not going to say Lucifer. It wasn't Lucifer. The demons and the devil were here. Satan, for another word. They're different. They're all different entities. They're not the same. Lucifer doesn't come down to this realm. Doesn't need to. The devil and Satan do. All right. I don't want to deal with that specifically, but realize that they're there. Whether you want to believe it or not, they're there. And you can prove it to yourself if you really want to go out of the way and do a lot more research on it. You'll find that they're real. At some level in this reality, they do affect people. If it doesn't affect you, it really isn't that important to you, is it? I mean, if somebody's on the moon or on Mars and they're making milkshakes and having a drink or whatever, and then they shoot a rocket up to blow up a star, does that affect you in any way? Really? Probably not. Anything they're doing. And what are they doing? Is it affecting you? No. Is it helping you? No. Well, I will tell you this, which nobody talks about. Every ship that we send up, not alien ships, but every ship we send up, hurts the ozone layer on our planet. It's been shrinking for 100 years. And I don't know the exact diameter or what it is, but picture it a mile long. Now it's down to a couple feet wide. So it's not very strong and not very protective, which is what it used to be. So yes, a little hole in that, like over Australia, gives people cancer right away, and it's super dangerous. So when we talk about moving and living on other planets and things, you got to think of the air, the radiation on different levels, on different realities, or planes, worlds, wherever you are. So there's multiple things you need to think about other than listen to some idiot say, well, I was on a ship and we all had dinner together and then they took us to all these different worlds and they showed us all these other races. So what? Are they coming here and talking to us? No. Why not? They sure don't care about us. Oh, we're supposed to care about them? For what reason? Do we really think they're going to help us learn anything? That is the biggest, most important question you need to ask yourself. What can any alien race do for you? Give you gold bricks? I doubt it. Heal every sickness you have? Certain races can, but they won't. What do you expect? What do you think could happen that would make anything better? Teach the world to love each other? How do you do that? Jesus couldn't teach his own followers that. How do you teach a world that has a different God for every religion, different ideas of life, and they're all going to love each other and respect each other? Do you really believe that? Why? What do you do? What do you do for entertainment? Drink, smoke, drugs? You're clean? Are you really? How many people go out and drink every week because they can't deal with the humdrum life? Well, you know, here's one thing I'll bring up. I'll bring it up later too. But sports, very dangerous thing for the planet. Competition. Countries fight each other to win an Olympics. Instead of working together, I mean, if you're going to do skiing and any other things, do it for fun, not for competition and for money. When it comes to money, it becomes evil, sadly to say. Native people called the games they played, one of the games is called the stick game. They used to play all day with a stick and hitting this rock back and forth. It wasn't given, I'm not going to say it was tennis, ping pong, or anything like that. It was just a game they played, and it was called the stick game. And it was not about winning. It was just about having fun, doing something. But when it becomes to boxing, person getting paid $150 million to punch somebody, while children are starving, and how do people think? And they think it's okay because most people go out and put $50 on to watch their boxing match on TV and those kind of things. You think that's beneficial for a human race? Sadly, after Atlantis went down, humans became very violent. Seriously. If you go back to the gladiator games in those days, they were a lot worse than you see on TV. I don't even think they could set it up the way it was done in those days. If you ever have a chance, search out the history on that. I mean, alligators and lions and moats and all that stuff. It was dangerous to even step out on the arena. Never mind fight somebody that's trying to get you to get eaten, chopped up, whatever. It was a horrible thing. But all the people went to see it for entertainment. Seeing somebody getting beat, killed is entertainment. Why are movies violent? Because people like to think about it. I mean, I don't think a person wants to get beat up and hung and stuff in their own house. But even the bondage world and how that's growing, and it's legal in a lot of places. I mean, if you're 18 years old, you can go into a lot of the really hardcore clubs, like in Washington, and do anything you want to a person: shock them, beat them, chain them, wrap them up in plastic, and you name it, pee on them, whatever it is. And it's acceptable for people now. You think morals are here? No, we don't have morals. Society's crashing, not because of aliens, not because of demons, because man's ignorance. His desire for sex is destroying everything we have ever did and do. It wasn't like that in Atlantis. I'll only say that from experience. When certain races came here, if the Anunnaki came, they didn't make us. We were already made. They played with our thinking. They didn't play with our DNA. First off, people, don't be so ignorant. The human race was always a human race on this planet. We weren't the let's see, let's go back to the caveman and the Neanderthal. They're different races, and they all didn't work. All right, when the human races were brought here, 9 human races were brought here. We had 5 fingers on each hand, arms and legs, 2 and 2, right? And 2 ears. We didn't grow another ear. We didn't grow wings. We didn't grow fangs and horns, anything. We never changed in 20,000 years. So the idea that the Anunnaki came and created us in a test tube, really? Who created them? A disease-ridden bee or butterfly? See, mankind takes parts of truth, which Zecharia Sitchin pushed upon the world. Well, he put it out there and everybody just jumped on it. So we're creating a civil defense warning for ourselves. Look at what's happening and why. The human race can't be friends with each other, can't be friends in a relationship. 60% of all relationships fall apart. Why? Because of sex, not because of anything else. Oh, I love my partner, but I was in this room and this beautiful person walked in and I had to have sex with them. There's reasons, because man is not too secure in himself. I don't want to get into that in great detail, but man is ignorant, and they'll blame everything under the sun, especially a woman, for the problems that they created. The whole story of Adam and Eve, let's blame the woman. She didn't do anything. And what language did God speak, and what language did they speak to communicate? Don't eat that apple, don't eat that fruit. And everything supposedly God in the Bible said was lies. And he had to lie to Adam, the first thing he says to him. What kind of sick mentality would accept a God that has to lie to him? You think God would have to come down and say, well, I'm going to give you a birthday cake tomorrow and not give it to you tomorrow? I mean, to think God has to lie to the human race? You think God has to deal with the human race even? That's pathetic thinking. It's ego. And ego started after the Anunnaki and the reptilians and the Greys and everybody else started playing with us and working with us at different levels. Mankind became twisted, evil, hungry for sex, hungry for entertainment and pleasure. Money makes all those things happen. People want money so they could be happy. An imaginary word, happy. Happiness is forget everything and just go by my body's feelings. I mean, if you massage, my body feels happy, I'm happy. Go on a ride, you get a cheap thrill, your body's vibrating and, oh, I feel happy. Get whipped, get beat. Go into a club that does that. You'll feel pain. Oh, I don't want to feel pain. Well, when you're brought up in pain, you think pain's pleasurable. And I hate to say it, I think pain's pleasurable in some ways. I mean, I pierced myself 30 times, every part of my body, myself. So, I mean, do you think pain is the danger? No. It's what the body can feel. Does it make it important? Does it make it good or bad? No. As long as we play the game that this is good and that's bad, 90% of everything mankind does is bad. Well, I'd say 98% probably, and that 2% is really vaguely going into the good side. because in 20,000 years, mankind has not created anything beneficial for the human race to become more spiritual. And there's only one thing, and I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. There's only one thing that has actually been different than all that to help a person become spiritual. And it's probably the most important thing, but I'm not going to talk about it. Because until you're ready to accept any truth, why should I give you anything that's important? That sounds horrible. But you know, I've been doing this for years. I was out there in the lecture world with Sergeant 18, dealing with people. People don't want the truth. I danced on the powwow scene for almost 30 years. Maybe even closer to 35 years. Do you know, people would come up to me, oh, they're not real Indians. I said, well, what are they? Well, they're just people dressed up as Indians. Dressed up as Indians? I said, what's an Indian look like that they get dressed up like? They'll say, I thought we killed them all. I mean, the ignorance of the human race, especially in the United States when it comes to the native people. A person, his name's Lightfoot. He's a singer. He was a singer. He was in a movie called The Indian in the Cupboard. Is doing more for the native people than any other person ever in the United States. He's getting millions of dollars for this, that, and the other thing. They got $3.5 million to clear up their water because it's contaminated by the government. There's a lot of things. One person, just one person. He's not claiming to be God. He's not claiming to be anything. He was a rap artist. He was the #1 Native American rap artist. And now he's older, married, and doing more than anybody else for the native people. One person. Imagine you had some kind of adrenaline and you say, hey, maybe I want to help the world get better. Well, he did, and he is. I can't say that about too many other people, because the native people are the most abused people on the planet in the United States or anywhere, and they get no respect, no credit, no anything. They weren't bad. They weren't evil. So when we say, well, the British and the Spanish are good people, the United States is filled with good people, thinking they have the right to make other people bad people? Sure, when you come into a place, you should respect where you go. I mean, you go into somebody's house, you should respect their house. You come into the United States, you should respect the United States. Well, the Muslim people aren't going to do that, and they're not. Well, the Japanese, the Chinese, and Russians, and everybody else came into the United States. They didn't try to make it their country. The Sharia law is affecting a lot of places in the United States right now. It's even going into New Jersey, where I lived, making courthouses that abide by that law and things. It's going to be serious, because the more that come in, the stronger that's going to get. And it's just like Scientology. You get into that, you're stuck in it. You're in it, locked into a programmed idea. So where are we going with this? We're going nowhere. We're not getting smarter, spiritual. We're not becoming better as a person. We don't respect anything more than we did 10 days ago, or a year ago, or even 100 years ago. Why is that? What is wrong with society? Well, we have created karma for this planet. The human race has been creating more and more karma for the planet. Karma has to be paid. It takes its time. Sometimes, like John Lennon saying, instant karma is going to get you. It could be instant, but a lot of times it's storage. And it's like putting a pile of sand as high as you can. It's going to slide down, but you keep trying to get as high as you can before it slides down. But when it slides down, that karma has to be paid. All right? And the planet's going through that now. And it's going to constantly get worse. Mankind is not doing anything beneficial for this planet, and I mean mainly the people that are on it. The planet doesn't care what we do. It doesn't think, but I talk to the goddess. I went through all that. I spent years doing that. It doesn't listen, not to you or me or anybody. I mean, the earth does what the higher deities or Council of Nine, whatever words you want to use for that, tell it to do. Take out a country, take out the planet, take out a continent. Whatever it's told to do, it does it. It just doesn't do it by itself. Oh, well, science will prove everything except the truth as well. Well, this This atom hit that atom, and then we got a bomb, and this and that. And they'll try to explain everything. Well, it has to react somehow for it to happen. But the reason why it happens is separate than what they're ever going to talk about. Without a real God, you're nowhere. And I hate to say that. If you don't believe in God, you're in trouble. And I'm telling you straight out, I don't care what you say to me or call me or whatever. When you die and you don't believe in God, you're in trouble. Where do you think you're going to go? What do you think you're going to do? What do you think you're going to become? A consciousness? Are you a consciousness now? Oh, yeah, I'm a consciousness. A consciousness of what? Everybody else's thought? Do you know what I think? You don't. Do I know what you think? I don't care to. I did at one time. I was empathic and knew what everybody was thinking, and it was the most horrible thing in my life for 2 years. When you listen to what people think in their brain, really, it's pathetic. They're not moving forward. We aren't moving forward as a race, as a continent, and a worldly group of people. I think we're more ignorant than we have ever been. At least when you were a farmer or a fisherman, you were set and doing that. You weren't out thinking about how to make a cage to put a woman in, or a guy and torture him, or twist him and turn him into a butterfly, and all those kind of things. But man decided God was too important, so they had to eliminate him. Now that there's no God, let's become God. The image of God is so twisted. I do so many shows on that because I try to get people to wake up what they believe God is, even, and what it really is. Christianity, what God is one thing. What Muslims believe God is another thing. And they're twisted. What happens to soul is twisted. Most people don't know, have a clue. And I had 5 death experiences. I spent half of my life traveling out of my body. I met deities. I was next to a Bigfoot. All those things. What are they? Why? And I hate to say this. I mean, I'm part Native, but Native people have a twisted thinking as well as everybody else does. A story is a story, no matter who's telling it. Except a few people that came to this planet to bring the truth. Am I here to bring the truth? I'm trying. I'm not saying I'm spiritual, but I'm trying to bring the truth out. And you can find it. It's within you. It's not within the programs you have, because that spirit and soul, everything exists without this body, without the mind, without the computerized brain that the body runs on. And that's what you need to get in touch with. Oh, my past lives. Well, they're important. Your past lives will tell you why and what karma you had and what you're going through and where you're going to go from here. So if you don't believe in God and you believe in aliens, what's going to help you do anything? What do you expect? What does anybody really? Disclosure, the imaginary word. We're going to have disclosure. That there's really ships flying above us. And they're doing what? Why is it? Well, the government worked with them. And what? What did they do? Well, they designed a ship. For what reason? Again, you have to realize the truth that you get is maybe 1% of 100%. And what are you going to do with that 1%? Nothing, because it's useless. Without the 98% of the truth, it's not going to help you get anywhere. And imagine this. Imagine every scientist on the planet work together as a group consciousness. No, but when I die, I'm going to become part of the consciousness. What consciousness? The retarded consciousness that creates the idea that this is all an illusion? I live with the Buddhists, and it's hard because Buddhism doesn't believe in a real God. All right? They work with deities. I don't know how many of them truly believe in a deity, because it's always their higher self. And if it's an illusion, nothing's real. So with that being said, imagine that you're in this world and you found out there's a real God. What would you do? What would change within you? Probably not much, but at least be aware. Like when you die, what happens? Because you're going to die. No matter what you eat, what you take, what pills you take, or whatever, you're still going to die. And where's that going to get you? Well, I hate to say this, nowhere. Unless you understand death, life is useless. I mean, reincarnation is important. And Buddha talked about that. But that means you didn't attain any awareness. If you have to come back to this planet, you're tied, attached to something here, including the karma. So you can listen to these, I hate to use horrible words, but what am I going to say? These good people telling stupid, ridiculous, idiotic stories? No, they're not good people. If you tell somebody something that's a lie and know it, or just because you're not aware enough, you shouldn't be telling them that. I'm waiting for a person to call me to talk about ascension. Even that, my best friend I was doing a show with for 7 years said she created the idea and did all this and that and the other thing. And I said, funny, and I told her straight to her face, it would be nice if you knew what ascension really was. When you tell ascension is not the same as ascending. When the body dies, soul is ascending into the higher realm, heaven, forward, but it's only the astral plane. Ascension is something totally different. I don't know too many souls on this planet, since I'm aware of all my lifetimes from Atlantis, and even one lifetime before that, till now. I don't know only one person I can say did it. And I'm sure you know who it is, because I wrote my last book on that, The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization. Why? Moses had psychic abilities. The psychic abilities come from the astral plane. The Akashic record stored there, and that deals with all the information from this reality, future, past, and present. All right? And anybody could read their own, and it's wrong to read somebody else's, or try to. But people get karma from when you do things like that. When you step and you're coming into any kind of awareness and you abuse it, you'll lose everything that you attained to that point. I learned many things when I was 16. I became a witch. I like the word witch rather than whatever. And dealt with psychic abilities. I learned most of them. And they are all real. But something mankind in this reality doesn't know, they do not work right in this world now. We were in a certain vibration in Atlantis. We were all at a high level of awareness. All right? And when that was taken away, when Atlantis went down, and people started getting programmed with the false ideas of pain, hate, and killing, and murder, and rape, and all those kind of words, they lost their abilities. Now, we're in that space. Imagine giving a mass thief abilities. Even the transportation, teleportation, levitation, mind control, mind of being able to read the future. All those little things, even one of them, that person can change reality completely. So that's why there's nobody with those abilities, really. I mean, you either have the ability, you don't. Well, sometimes it works. Well, prophesizing, the way people do it is 90% things are probable, capable of happening. 60% most likely going to happen. Maybe 10% are really going to happen sooner or later. The Earth's going to have a super earthquake, I'd say within 5 to 6 months. It'll be devastating. I mean, we had 8.1, 8.2. So yeah, it's growing. And when it hits 10, we're going to see a disaster. But in the interim, those abilities used now, like psychic healers and psychics. I'm trying to get in touch with this guy. Claims he's the top mystic on the planet. And I'm not going to go into it because I didn't talk to him yet, and I'm waiting. I challenged him like 5 times. Oh, we'll talk. He claims that he was actually with Barney Hill, the 2 people that were involved with Roswell. And he's a black person that was friends with them and everything. But he claims he's the top mystic on the planet. He works with the government. He works with the army. He knows everything about life, death, reincarnation. He could change the future. You know, what we believe we change the future is we assume what the future is bringing. Now, it's not going to be hard for anybody to prophesize the world's going to be completely loaded with robots very soon. And there's nothing we're going to do to stop it. And if everything becomes robotized, which is a word, they're not going to need many people to do it, are they? All right, so here's the thing. Let's get real here. The great storytellers. Who were they? Moses. He wrote a third of the Bible. His ego was so important. He didn't live 1,000 years or even 500 years, but he had 10 commandments he was given from God, supposedly. Okay? And he got mad. He smashes some of the tablets. He goes back, gets them again, does it all over again. But in the interim, he comes down and he sees all these people doing things he didn't like. Has 3,000 of them killed. Just talk to God. God says, thou shalt not kill. And he comes down and says, well, kill these people. They're all evil. But when people do things, they change the title. All right. He called them demons. He said, they're demons. We can destroy them. The same as when the Spanish and the British came to the United States, they called the native people demons. At that point, it was easy to kill them. And it was okay. Well, they're just demons. Kill them. Kill them all. And that's why they related redskins to the devil, or the devil related to redskins. So you have to look at history in a different way, because it's all lies. And it's squeezed together by, I have to use the word white man, because they're the biggest storytellers on the planet. The native people have incredible stories, but they're so limited to one thing. The pipe carrier, the white buffalo woman. I mean, there's like a couple of stories out there, and they're all stories. The Muslims have their belief systems. The Hasidic Jews have their belief systems. But does it have any truth to a God? I mean, even if you don't believe in Jesus, and you say you believe in a God, what is that God? A man-made idea. Because you don't want to know what God really is. I'm going to try to get into that before the show runs out. People mold the story to fit their own impression of what they want it to be. And it's always a fake story, exaggerated. I can tell you people I know, they started out with this little story. It got bigger and bigger and greater and more important. And then in the end, they're the reincarnation of Inky or Nu. Really? You think any spiritual being will reincarnate into I almost said a horrible word, a sick body? I mean, mentally aware, unaware being body. No. Why would they? They would. Soul moves forward. It doesn't move backwards. This is hell. You start here to move forward to get out of it, not to come back and stay in it. There's no reason to come back here. Unless you're hung up on sex and drugs and all the things that make people think that this is a great place to be. Oh, I can travel and see the ocean. I can see trees. Wow. How long can you look at trees? Now, let's take that a step further by a religion. You go to heaven. And what do you do when you get there? Oh, we meet our family. And then what? You sit around and talk about what? Sitting there on a chair in heaven? To do what? For how long? Forever? Imagine that. We went over through this stuff in here to go there to talk to our family. What if you didn't get married? You don't want to go to heaven because then you got nobody to talk to. There's stupid ideas that man has accepted and brainwashed children to believe, which grow into adults that believe the story and mold it into a more ridiculous story. I hope you're following me. Please, hold on. Let me see if I can see what happened here. Somebody said I'm looking great. Thank you for that. Put a tariff on karma. We should follow our hearts. Well, that we need to do. We all have to open ourselves to that. But not what the mind says, because mind and soul are separate. Soul is aware. Somebody asked me, they don't watch Ancient Aliens, and that's good. I just record it just to hear what bull they're putting out there every single day. And the robots, well, that's a problem. There's nothing we can do about that. All right. Let me just check one other thing. I'm just trying to get all these questions that are around, see what's going on. Okay, we're all set. I'm back to going where I was in the talk here. All right. Now, these storytellers are getting paid big bucks. All the people that hurt society, football players, baseball players, hockey players, golf players, taking money, lots of money, so they can have an incredible life while you pay to watch them. I mean, it's just like in New York City, all the porn theaters and stuff, these people paid money to go in there and just watch it. Pay to watch it? Or get it. And sooner or later, they're going to stop paying to get it as well. But wasting money on things that have nothing to do with who you are, why you're here, where you're going to go, and what you're going to do. Sure, you're going to get a job. And hopefully you find a job that's beneficial to you. And if you look at money, you probably won't find a job that's beneficial to you. If you look for something that you're going to like doing, it will be beneficial to you. I have a friend, he was in the chat room. He created a scenario of what he wanted in life. And he created it. He created a community, which he built and set up. And it's running perfectly for him. Well, nothing's perfect, but it's running incredible. If people would stick to their desires, and as long as it didn't hurt other people, imagine where the world would go. Like I said, imagine all the scientists working together on a cure for any disease. Sadly, when they make a disease, they cure one, they create two more at least. The antidote that they give people for the flu is dangerous poison you put in the body that'll slowly kill a person in a long period of time. So reality is there that you got to live in this life doing the best you can. But what is the best you can? The least you can do to make the most money you can? Tell people you love them and you don't. Tell people you whatever. We're all great storytellers. I can tell a true story. I can't tell a fake story. I cannot lie. I never could all my life. Same as I can't curse. It's just something that pulls you in. And if you read the Bible, if you believe anything, like even the Ten Commandments, you can't. If you want to move forward spiritually. I'm not saying people in the Bible were spiritual, because most people weren't. They didn't know what the word spiritual is, as people today do not know what spiritual means. Oh, they're aliens from space. Oh, they're spiritual. Why? Because they're coming from space? If the devil comes down, are you going to say he's spiritual? No, but I don't believe in the devil. We have this great way to push what we don't want out of our mind, what we like, and pull it in. You go to the movies to see a movie you like. You don't go to a movie to see one that you don't like. Well, I found it like I always had to go to the car and leave my car, get fixed, and I had to take a couple hours. So I go to the movies. I go see one movie, whatever's there at that time. Sure, you try to pick the best one, but what if there's no movie you want to see? I still had to kill 3 hours, so I'd still go see a movie. Sometimes in that, opening to a different idea even, just to hear it. You don't have to accept it, but hear it out. Like I'm talking. If you're listening, you might get something out of it. If you're not, you're just going to keep saying, what an idiot, what a jerk, what a fool. That's your choice. But where do you go when you're done listening? Listen to somebody from Ancient Aliens? Or go on Coast to Coast and listen to some programmed informer, whistleblower, tell another story. Now, there's true stories mixed in with all the lies. All the people saying they went back and forth in time, really? Oh, the future's this and the past is that. Well, the past is the past. We know what the past is. Not most of us. If you didn't go there, you don't know what the past is. I'm aware of my life in Atlantis and every lifetime in between that till Jesus was born. Until now. Things were changing. Things were different. People didn't change. Sex didn't change. The only word that got added was love. And Jesus wasn't teaching love. Where people say, well, he's teaching love and compassion and forgiveness. Well, forgiveness is a wimpy man's idea of protection. And here's the reason why. If somebody did a crime, you'll say, like if they rape somebody, they should go to jail for the rest of their life. But forbidding, your son did it. Oh, he didn't do it. He's too good to do that. It's like we always want to be protected in case it's our problem. Man always blames a woman for anything that's happening. Oh, the woman made me do it. Oh, she dressed this way. She did that. And it's always blame them. But that was created a story of, sorry, here's wrong. from Adam and Eve. So let's go further than that. Adam and Eve were the first two people on the planet. They had sex with each other, and they had sex with their children, and had sex with their children, and the children had sex with everybody. It was pretty sexual if you try to believe that story anyway. And then all these white people, or black people, or brown people, suddenly had yellow people and red people being born. Genes change, but we don't change races unless you mix with another race. There were 9 races, 4 mixed together now. And probably if we ever survive, we will be one race again. Because the black, red, yellow, and white race are all interbreeding, and the DNAs will be completely grown together, and it will be one race again. But when the races were brought here, we were different. The red race was the red race, the white race was the white race, the yellow race was the yellow race. The blue race was the blue race, the green race was the green race. Period. And Native people didn't like to split their DNA with other tribes, other races. Tribes, I mean, from different parts of the world. Even though most Native races came from every other part of the world. The only race, and nobody's going to talk about it because nobody wants anybody to know the truth, the Hopi people were the only true race of the United States. The only one. Now, the Mayans will tell you a different story. They're so egotistical and wrong and evil. Sorry, people. They were mass killers. And it's just, do you look at the people that we supposedly came from, or we work with, or we believe are spiritual? The Native people weren't mass killers until the white race attacked them, destroyed them, and tried over and over. And they did fight for their lives. So if you want to put history together, put it together right. Now, this whole thing about Antarctica, what races were there, what happened, it doesn't matter right now. Until the truth's going to come out, and if there are any aliens there that are still alive, then it might come out, but I don't know. The races that are here do not play with us in any great way. In Hawaii, we have 2 races that go into the ocean all the time. People see them, but they're not coming out and playing with people, talking to them and hanging out with them or nothing. We got the aquatic race here, but we got the Pleiadians here as well. And they're doing different things. One is trying to help, believe it or not. And I usually don't say that about many races. But they're not communicating with the human race of any kind. So what is going on with that? Well, they don't want planet Earth to get destroyed. No race does. How many races want the planet? Many different races want the planet. But here's the thing. And if you're going to look at the war part of this, which you need to do, because every idiot that's out there talking about this, that, and the other one, the good ones and the bad ones, no, there's only one kind of whatever race they are. I'll say this over and over. If you're going to put a ship out into space, if the United States sends a ship out there, they don't go and pick up the homeless people or the drug addicts and put them on a ship and send them out there. They take their little programmed idiots and put them in their ship and send them out there to do what they tell them to do. You think any other planet's different? Well, let's take all the, if you watch, like even Superman, they put the bad people in this disc and send them out into space, and then it breaks and then they get freed. But what do? How do we control the good from the bad? And who's good and bad? Well, let's give them guns. Well, how do we know who's really sane and not? How many people shoot themselves in the head with a gun? More people get shot by themselves than shooting other people in the United States. And they all got guns. How is that? How do you know if a person's crazy? Well, if he's crazy, he does stupid things. No. Crazy doesn't mean you're stupid. I should know. I met many of them. Lots of them. Dealt with them. I was there. I understand it. No, they're not stupid. If you're crazy and somebody says, do you talk to God? And you say, yes, you're stupid. But if you're intelligent, crazy, no, I don't talk to God. But you know what you have to say to get away from people that think you're crazy. And all these people out on the street. The guy's so nice, and all of a sudden, well, he was such a nice guy, and then he went next door and killed all the people next door. Henry Fonda's. David Carradine. Let's talk about people. David Carradine. He did Kung Fu. It was my favorite show when I was little. He married Barbara Hershey, had a kid, but he went crazy. He went next door and chopped up the whole house. He was an idol. He was my idol. So, when we say, oh, he's crazy, we're all crazy. We just release the way our craziness in different ways, or we hide it in different ways. I mean, if you go home and beat yourself up all day and then you go back out, the only way people will know if they see you all black and blue. And which people do. They cut themselves and things. I saw that in girls, man. She got out a week later and had her arm slit up again. It's horrible. But there's reasons for everything we do, subconscious or consciously. And those things affect the way we are. So with all that being said, we got aliens trying to play with us, telling us to kill and do this and what? What are they helping us with? Please, I wouldn't mind to see something incredible happen. The alien race comes out and says, we're going to purify the ocean completely for you, or we're going to purify the air, we're going to do this, purify the ocean so that the whales and dolphins don't have to die. And because before they heal that and do that, they're going to have to tell people, well, you can't eat dolphins and whales no more. Is anybody going to listen? Moses gave a list of things that mankind's not allowed to eat. Mankind eats everything that he said we shouldn't eat. So, rules have to be accepted. The Ten Commandments are not dangerous laws. They were given to a society to help them live in a normal life. Nothing's different. Nothing's bad. Nothing hurts people. Not one thing in the Ten Commandments hurts people. I mean, the translation of each one was a little different. Realize Moses was twisted anyway, and he had to try to translate it into something that he accepted. But he didn't accept the Ten Commandments. He made 613 more laws in the next part of the Bible. So he was egotistical, completely programmed in his own ego that he had to create a reality that he thought was right. Nakedness was a really bad thing to him, and a lot of things were bad to him. Eating hoofed animals, and you name it. He came up with a thing about it. If you saw your son naked or your daughter, and they had to be outcast, all these ridiculous things, nobody could live by them, period. So, and the whole Bible, whole Old Testament, is based on Moses. And that became a society for the society to accept and believe in. Well, let's go into, I just want one other thing. I mean, the story that we're being fed in the UFO world is about the Anunnaki. They created us, they programmed us, and they're watching us. Watching us what? Be idiots? Fools? Jerks? What do they want to watch us? Having sex? Maybe. I don't think they're more intelligent than that. Because they sure don't want us to be healthy. They sure don't want us to be loving creatures. What do people expect from aliens? They're a different race. They're not like us. The Pleiadians are different. They are us from the future, and that's a different race. That's us. So it's not a race from somewhere else. It's us as a race, but from the future. So we got a lot that people don't want to talk about, don't want to think about. But good aliens, prove it. Prove there's good aliens out there. What are they going to do for us? How do they eat? What do they eat? People don't want to deal with that in any great length idea. Well, I don't want to know what they eat. And it's not all bad. It's not humans all the time. It's not soul. It's not energy. It's other things as well. It's like when you go to another country and you go out to eat. What do you want to eat? Something different. I mean, if they came here and ate a buffalo, and then they ate a black person, then a red person, or a Chinese person, whatever, a colored person by color, because it must taste different. I mean, if we believe things like that, what's a race know? What's an alien race believe if they look so different than us? Do they want to play baseball? Do they use a toilet like we do? How do they go to the bathroom? Where do they go to the bathroom? Do they like bubble gum? Do they use sex toys? I mean, do we want to go that far? Do you want to know what they really are, what they do, what their entertainment really is? I mean, gladiator days were for humans on this planet. Imagine what they would do with people when they take them somewhere else. Nobody has ever experienced that, so that nobody's talking about that. Because aliens do not let people remember what they don't want them to remember. Remember that. If you don't hear anything else I say, when an alien abducts you, they're programming the way you will think forever. And 90% of the time, it takes people hypnosis to get into some of it, what really happened. And even that, it's hard for a person in this planet, a normal hypnotist, which is not spiritual, to get to a point to understand and help that person understand what really happened. The person Saved by the Light. No, sorry. Wrong thing. Fire in the Sky. He still doesn't know what really happened. Still doesn't understand it. And his story was the most documented, big publicized story and made a movie and everything else. So, are we just sheeple? Most people are. They want to be led. And not like in the Bible, unless you become like sheep, will you ever see the face of God? No, that's all translated by man, twisting an idea that he could not perceive. All right, we're looking for a good dream, a good fantasy. Well, what's a good dream? Well, good aliens can come here, and the bad ones won't. The good ones are going to help us, the bad ones won't. Let's get real. Wonder why aliens are here. Why aren't they helping us? Please don't say they're not allowed to help us. But they are allowed to hurt us. Does that make any sense? People, the ignorant people that say that, they cannot interfere with the higher council is bull. They don't control that. In the higher realms, the deities do control that, but here they don't. This is hell. Anything goes. If I had a shotgun and I just shot everything around me, it's my choice, not God, not anybody else's. To get to those higher places, you have to be respectful to God and understand and become all that before you even can get to that level. So, what aliens aren't allowed to interfere? They can abduct people. That's not interfering? See, mankind takes a little bit of truth or a story and makes it into something they think they can use in the wrong way, even though they think it's the right way. Morals have deteriorated. There are no morals on this planet anymore. I mean, get 10 children and ask them to write down 10 morals. Do you think they can? I guarantee they won't even be able to write more than 2. Probably thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not lie. Outside of that, I don't think they know what morals mean. And they don't exist anymore because people don't live by them at any level. I'm mad at him, so I'm just going to shoot him. Or I'm going to stab him. I'm going to kidnap his kid or whatever. It's all twisted. Everything that's going on is twisted. Money is making everything worse. Always has been. When man wasn't dealing with money directly, and it was trade and barter, which a native elder was trying to bring back to the world. He was trying to make barter systems around. He died. But he was trying to create these barter systems in different parts. He came to Hawaii to try to even create it here, where you would get coupons and you would swap. If you were a doctor, a dentist, whatever, you could swap for other coupons and do other things. And no money was exchanged. And it was an idea which didn't work. Not now. Mankind has moved too far into the negative side to move forward in a positive side. And it has to crash before we'll ever get out of it. There's too much negativity on the planet. I just talked to my partner. I said, this world's out of balance. Oh, no, everything's in balance. Nothing's in balance. Well, night and day. Well, go into space. There's 90% more darkness than light. That's out of balance. And days change. Different parts of the world have different times of light and day. I mean, it's all changing. But, when people say everything's in balance, I said, no, I'll tell you a simple thing. And I say this, it's a bad scenario, but you can make a person hate you, but try to make a person love you. You can't. You can try. I can make anybody on this planet hate me, no matter what they say or think or do. Period. I know that for a fact. But to make any person I want love me, that's dreaming. You can't, no matter what you do. I mean, unless you drug them up and tie them up and stuff. Yeah, there you are. If you could say tied up and drugged. But no, you can't. That's one important thing that's completely out of balance. So, okay, here's the thing. If aliens came here, all right, what do you think our government would do? It would be war or not. They would they would decide whether it was going to be a war or not, which is what happened at Roswell when they shot 3 planes down. But what if an angel came down? What if an angel came to this world right now? They shot at it and bullets went through it and all these things, and it was an angel. What would the United States do? What would Russia do? Go to Ghostbusters, hey, can you get rid of this spirit? Go to the shamans and say, hey, could you get rid of it? I mean, people would. They'd be afraid because it wouldn't be their religion, probably. Or what angel is it? Well, it's Lucifer, the high archangel. Oh, no, we can't do that. I mean, people are so programmed and believe the twisted lies. The stories in the Bible are so twisted when a person tries to translate it. Japan just said they're allowing crossing of humans and animals together. That's a sad thing. Very sad, because we're going to start seeing strange creatures walk on the planet real soon. Hold on one second real fast. Yeah, it's some people, I'm just reading what they put in the chat room. If anybody's in there, hi. We have to look at it this way. Mankind, since they tried to pull away from God, tried to create themselves as God. So when you start trying to cross an animal and a human together, that's playing God, no matter how you look at it. It's going to backfire sooner or later. But they go, oh, that's how they created all these deities. That's how they... No, it's not. It's not the same. They're not solid entities. When you talk about a solid entity, you're talking about the earth and the physical realm that we live in is actually, say, a giant cell spinning around itself, all these little things going back and out, but it's all one thing. And it works that way. Everything works by that. Everything has to breathe that's alive. Everything has to eat that lives. I mean, all those kind of things. But when you go into the next reality, not dimension, because dimensions are still this reality. When you go into the next realm, which is the astral plane, things don't work the same way. A gun's useless. A lot of things are useless there. But it's so useful here if you want to kill somebody, shoot somebody, or whatever. So that reality that we're in now is pretty set. We think it's changing. We think that we do this. No, it's all the vibration of that energy that's there. Not that we're all the same. We are not. Because the second you become aware, you will leave here. There's no reason to stay in this dimension, in this realm, because it is hell. Do you want to stay in a heaven, call it heaven, while little children are being sold into slavery, sex, and being abused in 90% of the families as well, not just one here and there? Children are abused every which way by everybody. When's a child grow up? When is a child considered an elder, for a word? Or basically, we call it becoming 21 and an adult. An adult. Why is a little child not an adult? Because they're not old enough? Their body didn't mature enough? What reasons are there? Because they didn't do any drugs yet? They didn't smoke or drink yet? Or they didn't have sex yet? I mean, all those things. Well, you have to be 18 for that. I mean, you have to be 21 for this. Does somebody really change on the day of their birthday? Well, I'm 17 and 3/4 right now. And next month, I'm going to be 18 or 21. Do I change? Now I'm an adult because I had a birthday? Do people really change? How about when that child was 14, they were an adult? How about in other countries like Tibet? Children 6 years old are cooking dinner for their family. When are you people going to realize everything you think and believe is a lie? You probably won't. Oh no, I like my lies. I live my life in my lie. Well, then believe like Buddha did. This is all an illusion, because if you can live in a lie, you're not living in the truth. And then it's not real. Maybe real for you, but it's not real for the reality of what's going to happen to the rest of the world unless you go out and start killing people. Which is wrong. I'm not going to say it's right. It definitely isn't. But the human race planet can't get along with itself. They all have a different God. With a different God, they're not going to understand a real God, and they're going to put their stupid scenarios of what they think God should be. Man is weak at every level. Can humans understand the way an ant thinks or a bee thinks? Understands why they listen to the queen? That's one little teeny teeny creature on this planet. And they live together in their hive, their family. Mix them with another family and they'll fight to protect themselves, but they don't each other. See, living conditions is programmed. And I mean, if you go back to the caveman and the way they ate, they didn't get married. They just grabbed a woman, had sex, had a child. They did what they wanted. Man was always in power until rather recently. That was a good thing, but women still didn't get enough rights to be a woman. It's still a sex object to the planet. I don't care what they say, think, or do. Join the army, join the navy, join whatever. Become the space pilot, whatever. You're still a woman. Go to the front lines, get shot at. Oh, you're a woman now. But here's the thing. We're supposed to be loving sexual beings, right? For a word, what we think and believe. We don't believe in a real God. Most people, and I don't want to include myself in that, but they think God is what? What do you think God is? What I tell people to do, and I'll say it again and again and again, write on a piece of paper what you think God is and what it isn't. And you can't say God is everything, because that's a fallacy. God's not your twisted, pathetic thinking that you are dealing with. That's you. You have that free will. God allowed you to be that. I'm not saying God could take you out in a split second, but it allows you to be that. I mean, in the church, the priests, the rabbis, all having sex with children. I mean, you think that's part of God? If it is, your idea of God is twisted, sick, and wrong. If you think God made us to kill each other and beat each other up and all those things, what kind of God do you believe in? A man God, in man's image. And then when Jesus came, well, he's a man, he's God. He didn't kill people. He did anything but. And if you listen to any of the words he said, whether they were real or not, everything in the Bible is not real, not really written by Jesus at any level. But the saying, if you pick up a sword, you'll die by a sword. Give your life to God and you'll have eternal life. Do you understand any of those words, what they mean? In my Father's mansion there's many rooms. They're all important. They're the most important part of the whole Bible, and Christianity doesn't use any of them as an important thing. Give up your family and follow me. What spiritual person says, leave your children, leave your family and come follow me? Ramtha, the great psychic channeler, who said, sell everything and buy my horse and come to, and I mean, people do things for money nowadays. But finding the truth, you're not going to find it that way. Listening to these storytellers, and I just think we had 10 aliens here, and we were on a conference, and they all came in, and they sat on the table, and they said, okay, what can you help us with? What are you going to help us do? What do you think they're going to say? Well, we know what idiots you are. We know you like poison. We know you like to destroy things. How about you just destroy your own planet, which you're allowing us to do in a great way? Think about it. 10 aliens are sitting in a room. What are you going to ask them? Well, what can you do for us? What do you want us to do for you? Make you loving people? They don't know what love means. They don't deal with the emotions like the body has. Their bodies are built much different. One race is very similar, but most of them are not. But what are you going to ask them? What are they going to help you do? Well, destroy Russia. Well, what is Russia going to say? Destroy the United States. What's China going to say? Destroy Russia and China and the United States? Destroy us all. I mean, what are we going to ask aliens to help us with? Now, Atlantis was a race, 9 races. And they were working together, and they lived peaceful and happy. And they were aware, and when they became aware enough, they just left. It was that simple. But since Atlantis was destroyed, and the aliens came down and started playing with the people that are here, killing, murder, and all those things became part of reality in an important way. Well, they've been in our history even before Atlantis. They came and went. Did they ever help us? No. Please. Oh, well, they helped us here. They built a pyramid. Did a pyramid help us in any way? And they all disappeared. Everybody involved with any of this stuff is gone. Why aren't they walking the planet? Why are all the giants killed? Why are they all skeletons? I mean, think about it. The native people in the United States were killing the giants. They had to. So you have to look much further than whatever you were programmed to believe that you have to think about, or what you can think about, or what you should think about. Almost all races on this planet, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Egyptians, were into killing and sacrifice. Do you think God says, well, I want you to sacrifice? That's even wrong in the Bible. I mean, the story's got exaggerated and twisted. God never said kill anybody. And Moses took it on his own free will to do whatever he wanted, which he did, and he got on the karma as well. And to think that the Holy Land, where we're going to go to and find, existed on planet Earth? Another fallacy. Why do you think Moses walked around in circles? They all had to die. It was the children that got to the promised land. And even at that, it wasn't the promised land because they had to kill everybody that was there to take it over. So you can't use religion or spiritual truth and bring in killing, murder, and all the other words. They don't fit together. If you believe they do, you got a twisted idea, twisted truth. Religions were created by man. Jesus did not come here to create a religion. I don't care what religion you are in right now, even if you're a Christian, he didn't come here to teach Christianity. Big fallacy. Get my book, read my book. Please get a little bit of truth out of that. Because if you believe he came here for that, mankind didn't learn love, didn't learn compassion. And forgiveness? Shoot somebody, are you forgiven? No. So what did they mean? Nothing. It was man's protection for trying to protect himself. Love didn't exist for 20,000 years. Imagine that. It was removed, destroyed, and then replaced with hate, anger, and all those words. But in Atlantis, we did have 32 psychic abilities because we didn't hurt and didn't abuse them or use them in the wrong way, which man can only do in the present. If you had a psychic ability, it's about how to make money. A psychic reader goes and gets paid. The people with the biggest ego charge the most money. I don't know, a psychic charges $50,000 for a month's working with her. Imagine that. I bet she better make sure that you don't die or whatever you think you're going to get out of it for the $50,000, rather than buying a house and just enjoying life. You know, I just feel so bad I can't get to people that should hear the truth. I challenge everybody on this planet, from the Pope, the Dalai Lama, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, Oprah, all of them. I said to Oprah for 15 years, give me 15 minutes of your life and I will change it. I promise you. Never happened. Never got to her directly. Never got a message back from her. I got a letter from Dr. Phil even, but I never got a letter from Oprah. So where do you go? Where do you go from here? Hopefully looking for truth. And you're not going to get it from these stupid conferences. I will give you as much time as you want if you don't go. Send me $10. I mean, I'd rather you give me something just so that well, I want to spend $1 million or $1,000. Why? Give it to the homeless people. Give it, help somebody. Do something constructive. Playing with aliens isn't going to be constructive for us. Unless there's super comets coming towards the planet and they say, okay, we're not going to let it hit you. I know the world can't destroy a comet. They tried. They sent a nuclear bomb and blasted a comet. It didn't do anything. So, yeah, we're not that powerful yet. So, I'm trying to get through as much as I can. I got through a couple of things. I hope you got something out of it. But you know what's funny? I wanted to throw this in. In space, they created a universal law that we're all one when we leave planet Earth. And that was years ago. I don't know what happened to that. Somehow it was destroyed. I mean, the space station's open for all races. But, I mean, China wants to take over part of the moon and control it. I mean, there's all these little things happening now that are outside of, like, we're all one. We all can't do one thing. We have to do it together. Whatever happened to that? Mankind's ego, obviously. But, you know, when we talk about space, how come the laws are different over the ocean? You do a lot more things over the ocean. Well, why? Because you're on top of water. You can change your laws and make them anything you want. Even the fishing laws aren't put into place where they should be. The way they kill dolphins and whales, the most important creatures on the planet. Sadly, mankind only thinks about money, how much money they can make. But the last thing I'm going to say, and I say this a lot, but think about the future. It will be robots. And then what happens? What do they need you for? How important do you think you are to a world that's run by mostly robots? Somebody's got to fix them. So you mean everybody has to get a job fixing robots until the robots can be fixed and programmed enough to fix their own robots? I mean, you must have watched a couple movies out there that already went through that already. And we're getting close to that. In a computerized world. And now people want to put themselves into the computer. Do you know that's the latest thing that they're really doing technical work on? Putting their DNA into a computer? Mankind's not going to stop until they think they're God and are God in their own reality. But dolphins and whales keep a vibration on this planet. I mean, dolphins have the same brain as a human does. And imagine eating something like that. I don't know how and why, but Japan's one of the most evil places as far as that goes. They serve dolphins to schools, the children in the schools, because it's cheap. It's easy to catch them and kill them and then cook them up. Pathetic. When you can train a creature to go out and get fish and bring them in, you'd rather just kill him and eat him. It's mankind, and Japan seems to be supposed to be so smart. You know, you can be smart technically, but that has nothing to do with spiritually. Again, how many people know what spiritual means? Well, you know, I try to put something out there every week, at least, if I can, at least one thing up. I hope you got something out of today. I could go on, but you know, I know you can only absorb so much. Absorb the facts. Find your own facts. Know that life isn't what we believe it to be is. We are experiencing what we're programmed to believe it is, not what it really is. So until we come to the level and say, hey, I want the truth. I want to tell you one sentence. I said I wasn't going to tell you certain things before. You either believe in Buddha or Jesus. Buddha did not believe in a God. Jesus taught how to get back to God. Two separate teachings. I know there's books out there, Buddha and Jesus taught the same thing. No, they did not. Jesus wasn't out there teaching love. And love's not the answer for anything. If you can't bring it into your own relationship, it's totally useless. Unconditional love is even more useless. Send unconditional love to all the rapists, murderers. Send unconditional love to all the starving people. What did you do? Nothing. Now that bothers me more than anything. Oh, I'm sending unconditional love, so I'm spiritual. Really? Sending love to a tree, to a rock? And that makes the world better? Oh, it does. It does. It does. Really? Why is the earth in the worst condition it has ever been in since the beginning of time? And we're so close to war. We're so close to contamination to the planet, destruction of the ocean. We're so close to every level of that. The ring of fire is the worst it has ever been in 100 years. Every week, bigger and bigger earthquakes. And like I said, we had two 8.2s already in the past couple months. We're ready for a big one. And it's a number game. And you multiply numbers, sooner or later you're going to have a number. Like on a wheel, there's certain numbers that don't ever come out in a long period of time. And there's certain numbers that come out 10, 20 times a day. So you have to look at the number of earthquakes that are increasing, which has increased over the past couple of years, from like 0.2 to 6.2. That's a giant number. And then when you go up to 8.2, that means it's just like the hurricanes and tornadoes. We reached 185-mile winds today, which is the highest ever on record. Sean David Morton was prophesizing all that many years ago. He said they're going to be called hypercanes because they're going to go beyond the levels of winds that we ever dealt with, which is just happening yesterday. So, he's a psychic. He's about 86%. He's a good friend of mine. He's in jail right now for false charges. Many of them are. Hopefully he's going to get out, but they almost blinded him in jail. So there's the doctors did. So, there's things that they don't want you to know. I'm going to get into a few things before I say goodbye. There's a couple things you've got to do. Check out John Ford. He's in Long Island Nut House. He shot the best video of a ship crash on Long Island. I saw it. Incredible. He's in the Nut House. He's there since 96. 96 was the year that they killed a lot of UFO people, a lot of government people, a lot of scientists. Oh, they did a number on the UFO world in a really bad way. Phil Snyder was killed that year. They said he committed suicide, really. All the important things kind of ended during that time frame. So be aware. If they're telling the truth, they're not going to be out there 24 hours, day and night, telling the world the truth. Government wouldn't allow it, and they don't. You're telling a story, let's put more out there, telling more stories so they'll never figure out how to put them all together. And the idea is to take pieces of everything, because there's a little piece in there that's useful. And then if you put all those little pieces together, you get the answer. I'm telling you, it works that way, and it's real. And when you find your own truth, you'll understand life and you'll understand death. At that point, you can live in peace because, sure, things are going to happen. This is hell. And that's what's supposed to happen. But those things are supposed to make you grow out of it, not grow into it. When they say you're going to go to hell, no, you're in hell trying to get out of it. With that, I'm going to say peace, whatever you need in your life. Hope it comes, hope you search for what you're really looking for. Hope you find it. And if not, keep looking. Don't give up. Don't accept junk, garbage, hearsay evidence. And try to get as much as your own. And there's techniques to do all these things. And don't let somebody mind program you to see what they want you to say. See what you need to say. All right. I'm going to kind of end it there. I hope everything was okay. If not, text me, hawksblood1@aol.com. Anytime, anywhere. If you want to talk to me directly, Skype, Hawksblood11, number 11. And I talk to anybody. I'll answer any questions. And I'll give you the truth as far as I know it and can prove to myself, and I did. So please, this world's changing, but it's not changing for the better. Are you willing to look for the truth in all these lies? Or are you happy with them? If you're happy, I guess I can't do nothing for you, and neither can you. You like being in this dwelling, horrible place, in this horrible conditioned world. And not just the weather. I'm talking about people and children and all the things that are happening. This whole thing about guns now, it's horrible. So please, it's time to make a change in yourself. You can't change the world, which I found out a long time ago, but you can change yourself. At least to be aware and watch what you do so you don't create more karma that you're going to have to stay here. With that again, till next time, have a great evening, morning, night, whenever you listen to this. Please send it to your friends. If you didn't like it, maybe they will.